All right. Welcome to the show. Hope everybody's doing very well. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Took me a while. I'm a little late, but I had to negotiate my coffee. I had a pretty brisk negotiation with the coffee machine here today. I don't know what was going on, but I finally got my coffee and we got a lot to talk about. So hope you guys are doing very well. I will tell you, very shocked with what's going on overseas with MICA. When it comes to regulation, hopefully we'll get, our regulation, Clarity Act, which I don't think we're going to get it. It's going to heavily affect the market, protocols, crypto products, essentially. I think it's going to affect it because there's a lot of language that's within. And let me cut this music down just a little bit. There's a lot going on today, by the way, when it comes to the Bitcoin pressure, when it comes to not only if we're going to get that, particular discussion in a sense, when it comes to moving the crypto language on. And then you have Donald Trump as well, basically saying he's not going to sign it until we get this particular bill that he's really looking for to come across his desk. So, it's a lot going on when it comes to the regulation. And we have LMFG as well. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
What is going on, brother? How you doing, man? We got a lot to talk about, man.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It is, man. We were talking about MICA last year, and how significant that regulation is. And look what happened. I didn't expect, I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect Binance to have any issues, but apparently they've been kicked out, of that particular, area of the world that's being governed by that particular language. It's just 1% of the volume. But, CZ's not too happy about it. He's been talking about it on X. So we may get into those tweets because he's been talking about a lot of people. But what do you think about Binance getting kicked out? It's not going to hurt Binance, but I don't know. Is it? Will it? I don't know. 1% is not that much. They got a lot of other, things, money coming in. But I don't know. It says a lot when it comes to that language. It's pretty stern. We'll look at the actual penalties because thousands of crypto products are going to be shut down on July the 1st. So, what's your take on that as we move into the actual report here?
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. I mean, and Coinbase, Brian Armstrong licking his chops. It's not US because he's still over there.
Oh yeah.
Coinbase in, so USDC I think is exploding right now.
Yeah, Coinbase is compliant.
Crazy.
Yeah, you're a little low, brother. We can hear you, but you're a little low. But you're right. Ripple is completely compliant. We'll be talking about the ledger too as well. Some pretty decent news. Price not so good, but they got a plan. We'll talk about XRP in a minute. There's a plan to bring the price up. We'll see. We'll talk about it. The MICA thing is crazy. It's going to affect way more products though. We're going to get into the penalties because it's very expensive if you get caught up with MICA. Now, as far as the Clarity Act, Genius Act, as far as penalties, I don't think we have any penalties. I don't think the crypto legislation in America is hardcore. Not like the European versions. They're pretty hardcore LMFG. If you get caught doing the wrong thing, you're gonna pay a lot of money. You may even do jail time. So they're real hard on the exchanges as well. But when it comes to Ripple, when it comes to XRP, when it comes to Coinbase, pretty compliant. No problems there. Like you said, Circle is beaming. Now as far as Tether, I don't think Tether is very compliant. What's your thoughts on that? Because they're going to get kicked out of a lot of areas too as well. They're cool in them. I think the US, they're okay. They have their specialized stablecoin they're going to drop to, I think in the first quarter of next year particularly for US customers. But what's your take on that?
Yeah, I see that. Why I think for sure they're going to wind up getting kicked out of there as well. Because he's still not showing his cards to anybody.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I don't get that.
Yeah, there's something fishy there. Think about it. Mm-hmm. Like, let's see your books. And he's like, no.
I just want to see proof of reserves, They're supposed to have all this gold.
Yeah.
Where's the gold, I'm going to say the same for Fort Knox, too. Where's the gold? But that's a whole nother discussion. I'm not even going to go there. That's a whole nother niche. What is up, Jay? So I hope everybody's doing good. That's the main thing because we're under pressure. And we're talking about the RSI, the other week, LMFG, a couple of weeks ago. I mean, you know, let's get into it, man, because you have Bitcoin, LMFG. What was your floor? Because we got some reports to get into, a lot to get into today, but I want to reiterate the floor. You had 50, I think I was at 50K. I think you were at 55. I can't remember. What was your floor? Because we are approaching 57.
I say 55. And then, because once it hits 50, though, I think we'll go a lot lower. I think that's going to be the panic. You know, you start seeing 49,000. I don't know what's going to happen. It could be get real ugly then. We're going to see. It's all going to be on the Clarity Act, and you can see right now.
Yeah.
Jay, going to rush it, and it's going to make a mess, and it's going to leave loopholes. They're going nuts. You're going to probably see it all over the news, you know. Media.
It's going to get crazy, man. It's unfortunate, but it's going to get very, 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 very wacky. Is it just the final capitulation before recovery, or are we heading lower? I think we're heading lower. Jay says 45 to 50K. 45 is bearish, bro. That's a whole nother level of psychological, I guess, internal warfare for a lot of investors and ETF fund managers, institutions. You know, Michael Saylor is really going nuts, you know. And you were right, Jay. You told me December 2025. You told me in 2025, December. You sure did. The Michael Saylor thing is crazy. But let's get into it, because is it capitulation before recovery? I don't think so. Some people are saying that. Some people are saying we're going to bounce off of 58 here and go straight to 75. I think that's lunacy. I don't think we're going to 75. Not right now. But we're going to get into it because, you know, the key drivers are obviously the ETF outflow, which is crazy. LMFG, $4 billion year to date. Okay, with BlackRock leading that charge. We're talking about a 200-week moving average that's completely negative. Bitcoin dominance, which is suppression of altcoins. We'll get into the altcoin report to it here in a little bit as well. 56 to 60% on that dominance, pretty much maintaining that. I think it's at 57 right now. We need it below 50. We're not even close. I'm still bullish on an altcoin breakout post language, but we got to get that language through. And as we were talking about, you know, recently, just like 13 hours ago, we may not get that markup heard on the floor. And it's supposed to be in the first couple of weeks of July. So you heard something, you told me about this. You heard that maybe we may not get that on the 17th of July, I believe it is. You want to give us some insight on that, LMFG? I think we might have lost him. Now, here's the thing. From what I've read, it may not happen because the SAVE Act, I believe, Trump wants that bill. He wants to sign that bill before any other bill. And if he doesn't get that bill, he's going to postpone the signage of not only the crypto language, which is the Clarity Act, which is going to hurt the market. It's going to be very bearish. But he's not going to sign anything else. Even the housing bill, which is a lot of people waiting on that, he shelved that. It's on the shelf too as well. He wants this particular bill to come before regulation and this the housing bill. So if we see the MICA full steam ahead, July the 1st, it's happening. We already see a lot of crypto products overseas that are shutting down. Our language is not that hardcore. In fact, it's pro crypto. The crypto Clarity Act is very, very pro DeFi, very pro crypto. It's going to be very bullish. It's going to allow for altcoin ETFs to explode. There's going to be a lot of them. They're going to be deployed. We just got to get it across President Trump's desk. He's just got to sign it. And I believe he's going to be holding this hostage. It's unfortunate. But with that being said, the heavy drivers of Bitcoin trajectory, which is downward, is not only geopolitics, that downward pressure, not only Michael Saylor's threat to sell well over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin to satisfy the dividend margin. These ETF outflow waves are very significant. They're absolutely significant. LMFG, $4 billion, is that absorbable? Is along with the Michael Saylor threats of being, selling, along with all these crypto products, that are overseas that are going to be shut down, thousands of them, because they're not compliant. Binance losing 1% of their volume, which is minute, but it's losses. Okay. And you have a market that's teetering towards a global market cap of 1.9 trillion. The trajectory is real, LMFG. What's your take so far on what I've said?
Yeah, I believe it's going to start to get ugly here. You know, we just got to wait and see, I guess, because I don't know how hard they're going to try, if they're going to try to even get back in there. You know, it's try to go make themselves compliant and then get back in, reapply. And I think it's stupid on MICA's part because you're losing a lot.
Yeah.
How much is going through MICA right now, and then compared to what's going to happen after the first?
That is true. Because you're going to have a lot of compliant entities that are going to take advantage of the regulation because they are compliant, like Ripple, like XRPL, like the RLUSD stablecoin is going to start moving because it is compliant. Coinbase, right? There's a lot of advantages to, for a lot of entities to be compliant with MICA because there's a lot of business to be and a lot of money to be had, a lot of fees to be generated overseas. It's going to be wide open after July the 1st for the compliant entities, the compliant crypto products. So I think it's very advantageous for those who are waiting on this because they're going to have the green light. We're still waiting in America for our particular situations to get green lights as well. But LMFG, I think Trump is going to hold this hostage until he gets that particular bill that he wants. I think it's a Saves Act or some Voters Act. I don't know. It's some kind of language that if he doesn't get it, he's not going to sign anything else. He's going to shelve everything else, the housing bill and the crypto regulation bill. Did you hear anything about this?
Yeah, with the Save Act. It's about the
that's what it is, right? I couldn't remember what it was. Okay.
I think he's backed down on something, and then the courts just said mail-in voting is valid. I'm sure he's going to try to come up with something else now. We'll see, and he just keeps saying that. But at the same time, if they put something on his desk, I think he'd be a fool not to sign it.
Especially with the crypto language, because his platform is riding heavy on this as well. If I'm, the actual maintainers of World Liberty Finance, I'm like, what are you doing? We need this. You need this. I don't know. Currently $58,000. We are sliding. A lot of money leaving the market. Let's look at these altcoins and then we'll get back to MICA and Bitcoin. $1,500. ETH is doing some crazy things. It's consolidating right now at $1,500, but there's a lot of things that are going on with ETH. There's a lot of good things too as well. This is the mother chain. I always say that everything runs through this. This is the major bridge for altcoin season, altcoin usage. So a lot of L2s are hosting a lot of DeFi protocols. We'll look at TVL in a minute too, because it's a little saggy as well. But Ethereum not going anywhere. $1,500 still profitable for a lot of people, especially if you're staking. Those rewards are still profitable. So ETH is not going anywhere. We talked about Tether, stablecoin. We'll move on to BNB because it is sliding to the tune of $540, kicked out of the actual EU, but still moving. Lots of usage here in America. They've actually garnered more, attention and more usage since Trump has been elected. LMFG, when it comes to the platform, I have access to it once again in Texas here. So that was pretty cool. So I don't think that MICA situation is going to hurt, the Binance platform very much, but it is hurting other products, right? So speaking of USDC doing absolutely fantastic under this regulation, especially with the movement between exchanges that are compliant, like Kraken and Coinbase. XRP, we're going to talk about this new plan to get this price pumping that's coming out of the actual XRPL camp. We'll get into that article. It's pretty interesting, LMFG, what's going on there and what they're trying to do to get this price pumping. It's going to be hard for anything to pump. Now, I could be wrong, but I think in this climate, I don't care what you do. You're waiting on crypto language. You're waiting on that acceptance, that adoption, that new money to come in for the alts. You're waiting on that actual liquidity too, as well, because there's missing liquidity here that is waiting, LMFG, if you understand what I'm saying. I think whatever you're doing right now is going to be short-lived. I could be wrong, but any type of, magic trick that a lot of these devs are going to do to pump a chart, I think a lot of people are just going to use it as exit liquidity. Do you agree with me? And I'm talking specifically within this capture, especially with the third quarter coming up.
Yeah, 100% agree, brother. I tell you, I was trying to check out Tron as well, and they're MICA compliant, but a lot of the tokens that are on that network are not.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah.
How is that so? I guess they're not kicking Tron out, but they're going to kick out all the tokens that are on them. This is going to be, I guess, mass exodus. I'm not sure with anybody in MICA is going to pull out of all of these things.
Yeah, very true.
They haven't done already,
You got to have that license. It's very interesting. A lot of DeFi protocols are going to be shut down. A lot of stablecoin protocols with a yield bearer, they're going to be shut down, especially if you're custodying any type of funds, right? You got to pass. You got to pass these rules or you're going to be shut down. The penalties are no joke, bro. We're talking up to like 700,000 euros in these fines when I was looking at these penalties, and jail time as well. So it's a very, very serious language. A lot of customer protection, a lot of compliance fees as well. So they're not joking, but at least they have framework. At least they have framework. We're still waiting because they're still being played with here, but it's interesting what's going on. The crypto is evolving, and a lot of you probably don't. We'll get into a report about crypto views across the board because they're down. A lot of people are tuning out crypto in America. We'll get into that report. It's pretty interesting. Solana 73, it keeps going down, LMFG. Pretty soon we're going to see a $60 Solana. I think I'm getting back in if I see it at 60 because I don't think it's going to go any lower, especially going into the fourth quarter. Probably going to see 55. I don't know. Hope not, because that's going to cause a lot of fear. But I'm jumping. I've been DCAing back into Solana because I like the consensus override. I like the new outlook on the framework, updating a lot of basically overhaul here, getting ready for tokenized assets, RWAs, tokenized commodities, institutional inflow. This is what they're getting ready for. I'm liking what Solana is doing. I'm liking what Monad is doing as well. I'm DCing in these particular, blockchain infrastructures that are going to be good facilitators for what's to come. Jay says $45 to $50. Yeah, that would be a great jump in point too as well. What's your take, bro? We talk about Solana a lot. What's going on with the consensus upgrades? Are you jumping back in, or are you taking a second look? Because it's actually up. It's one of the actual shining stars within the mist of despair here, along with the others as well. You have AVAX that's up too. What's your take on Solana and what's going on?
Yeah, you see a lot of traffic picking up. I see
it is absolutely.
Even with meme coins coming back, It's crazy. I like I said, Fired Answer. They get this thing running. They don't crash. Why not? They've been around how long now, right? 7-8 years. Yeah.
Almost. I wouldn't call them OG, but they have staying power. They have the staying power. They're solidified. And they got money. That matters. You're right.
Every time there's an issue, all the marketing that comes out, right? And they come out and boom, okay, we fix it, and it's just marketing, and they bring people back in. So
yeah.
I don't see Solana going anywhere. And
no,
if it
absolutely.
does dip down below this, I mean, if we get this $45,000 Bitcoin, I'm sure Solana will be for sub $50. XRP will be sub $1, Cardano will be sub 10 cents. I mean, we go on and on. Everything will follow. We'll go down to like 1.5 trillion as a whole in that asset market.
Right. Well, the consensus right here. Here's a couple of points that kind of like a main consensus when it comes to. Now, I'm pretty much bullish on it. Long term, even though it is downsliding. A lot of channel support. A lot of people saying the support is being broken. Very bearish signal here. Corrective bearish signal for deeper reduction. So, Jay, you may be right. It was 43. You know, I'm DCAing regardless. But you have strong on-chain activities versus price weakness, which is a neutral take for a lot of people as well. As long as the product is churning and updating and getting ready for the future, you know, I think the price will follow. The price follows the market sentiment. You know, there's fear and greed. There's a lot of social media effects when it comes to price. You know, that's going to be volatile. Look at the stock market, up and down, up and down. Tech, up and down. Now, I would argue that the crypto market is decoupled, because you look at Bitcoin's performance compared to what's going on in the stock market right now, and nothing makes sense. Bitcoin has decoupled, right? It's moving in the opposite direction of tech. And we all know what's going on there. A lot of manipulation in the futures markets, especially when it comes to oil. So long-term ETF and upgrade thesis is very bullish for not only Solana, as the main consensus is stating, but other altcoins as well, LMFG. And I think once we do get the crypto language fully solidified and actually signed, I think that's when you're going to get those altcoin ETF pushes, which is going to solidify a lot of that volume, that liquidity. It's going to lock a lot of it up, but we just don't have that right now because of the sentiment, because of the geopolitics involved, because of what's going on in the White House with the stalling out of this bill on Congress as well. These altcoins, these investors are just, they're just polarized. I mean, and Jay says stock market crash 2027 coming soon. Oh my Lord. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. What's your take on that as we move back into the main event here? As we move to Tron, you talked about Tron, but LMFG, I believe as a whole, the market is consolidating, not only with investor sentiment, but Bitcoin as well at 58. But these altcoins obviously move with Bitcoin, especially if there's no substance. It's just vibes for a lot of these alts, because a lot of the product is stagnant. The devs are stagnant. They're not upgrading. They're not ready. They're probably not going to exist post language. So you have the solidified notions like Monad, you have AVAX, it's Polygon, Solana, XRP, Monero, Stellar. By the way, Stellar has captured gold. We're talking about the tokenized commodity of gold. They have captured that. That is amazing for Stellar. But, Monero, Cant, and all these strong players, they're just waiting on language, LMFG. So they're just holding tight. But if you look at the RSI, we'll get there. A lot of investors are about to dump their bags. What you take?
I'm sorry, I got off track there.
No, it's okay. We're talking about this consolidative effort here. People are waiting on good news, essentially. And when I look at these metrics, people are getting very frustrated in and I'm talking strictly metrics here. Relative strength index, pupil ratings, miner stress. People, even the miners, they're about ready to dump everything, bro.
Yeah, well, you're losing money right now, especially at 58 grand.
Yeah,
just mining one Bitcoin's costing you in the range of 70, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see, man. Again, it's so much depends on this Clarity Act. It's crazy.
You're right.
As soon as it goes, that's when you're going to see the money's coming. And then as far as like the stock market crashing, I heard JT next year. I don't see that happening because of the GDP. The GDP is starting to snowball already, and I can imagine where we're going to be by next year. We got more and more factories opening up. So we'll see. A lot of this stuff. I think even Intel is supposed to have something running.
Yeah.
I think by the end of this year, and then Musk's already got the one half built. And he's building that mega fab center. So I think we're going to really skyrocket going forward. And how that affects the markets, I don't know. And then I think your metals, no matter what, like Che always tells me, you get metals, Lance, you get metals. Because I think you're going to see your metals just start snowballing once these factories get online.
Chip
manufacturers.
Yeah. I think a lot of entities are actually panicking. Now I'm looking at this report right here, and it just screams panic. It screams panic. I'm gonna check this out. This is crazy, right here. Now this one just dropped. Now check this out. Hold on to your bloomers here. Major financial firms, including Visa, MasterCard, BlackRock, Coinbase, and American Express to launch joint crypto stablecoin called OUSD. That is a lot of entities, a pretty decent group. You have two major credit card, processors, payment processors with Visa and MasterCard. American Express, three big giants, okay? You don't see Capital One here. They don't need it. But this is the thing. BlackRock, Coinbase, along with these major credit card situations, LMFG, this is huge. But you need the Clarity Act for this to actually roll downhill the proper way. In this stablecoin volume, obviously it's going to usher in more liquidity, especially in these DeFi platforms, because this is going to be implanted in every Ethereum ecosystem based DeFi or decentralized finance protocol. It's going to be in there, and a lot of fintech as well. A lot of fintech. This is going to be implanted. What's your take on this, bro? This is a joint venture of major entities, basically, coming in and funding a stable coin. This is crazy.
Yeah, I bet you see JP jump on that one too.
Is there any room?
Right, and then what chain is that going to go on? Is it going to go on Base?
Well,
BlackRock also has their own chain building, right? Private chain.
Well, welcome to the show, Mom. I hope you're doing well. Here's an actual response from Ripple. I'm gonna read this. Stablecoins are transforming how volume moves, and interoperability is the key to institutional scaling. Absolutely. We're proud to join OpenUSD, which is the stablecoin, as a day one integration partner, reinforcing Ripple's commitment to open multi-chain infrastructure that supports institutional adoption across digital asset ecosystems. So are they using XRPL? I don't know. Is this going to be on their ledger? Bro, I don't know. But it's interesting that Ripple chimes in and says that about this venture. I mean, what's your take on that? This is what Ripple, and they actually, this is a retweet, a quote on top of Open Standards' actual announcement of this venture. So are we looking at, I need to look into the Open Standard. Do they have their own layer one? Do they have their own infrastructure for this? I don't think so.
Right, I didn't see this. You're just showing it to me now. There you have it. Could it be on the ledger? And why not? Since they're integrated with all of them already.
And they're compliant. They have MICA compliance.
Yeah. They're already integrated with MasterCard, Visa, and American Express. So, and then all the banks.
There you go.
Just there you have it. Rock and roll. I like the idea.
Yeah,
you got to spend XRP in order to use the ledger.
This is what I tell everybody. It's like, screw the ledger talk. It's not gonna, help XRP. What are you talking about? XRP is embedded in the ledger. It's tethered to it.
And there's a burn function in it.
Absolutely.
The fee gets burned.
That's the missing key to XRP's growth. You need activity on that ledger. It needs to move. There needs to be tons of volume going through it. It has to churn, and then you get the burn. No, this is interesting that they dropped this. And then there's an article we're going to get into. So I wonder if the XRPL, I wonder if this ledger is going to be in the middle of this. You're going to need a facilitator. But at the same time, you can move this across the board too as well. Again, there's interoperability. There's multi-chain functions with stablecoins that can exist across the board. Look at USDC. It's across many chains. So, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Let's go and get back to the report. I just want to jump over there on that because I thought that was very interesting. Very, very interesting. So we'll share this tab. We'll get back to this. Speaking of XRP, a buck. Now, Hyperliquid, no KYC. Now, this is interesting. You had CZ, He has some scathing remarks about Hyperliquid, and he tried to take them on, Binance, they tried to take him on with the Aster. It didn't work too well. I don't think Aster is even on the top 25 anymore, but this is a competitor to Aster. Now, he was saying that Hyperliquid, they don't do KYC. They don't have KYC. He was trying to put them out, kind of like call them out with the lack of security fee or whatever, however it is. I think it's just a slap in the back because Aster will never be able to compete with Hyper. It is what it is. So they're probably upset with that. Meanwhile, it is marching back up to $70. So you have Solana last 7 days performing pretty well. You have Hyperliquid performing pretty well along with Solana. These are dark horses. These are dark horses in the midst of a lot of blood here with Hype and Sol. Both up almost 5% within the bloodbath. There's not a lot, guys. You have Bitcoin Cash as well. You have AVAX that's up almost 4%. That's it. Amongst the blue chips. You have some outliers, but it's just a lot of red LMFG when it comes to these altcoins. Going into the third and fourth quarter, I think we're going to see more blood unless we get good movement with crypto regulations, because that's what the real liquidity that's not in the market right now, that's what it's waiting on. And a lot of private product is going to go public as well. Post language. This is what we need. Altcoin ETF baskets are going to be launched after the crypto legislation is solidified and passed. Now, I think the major roadblock is midterms. Do you agree? Because without that majority, and this is what a lot of people are saying. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but I'm just going to be real with you. If you get a Democratic majority, I think they're going to put a wall up. I don't think they're going to be very forthcoming and embracive when it comes to this language. They may put a huge brick wall up and stop all of this. And maybe even reverse a lot of this. What's your take on that? Because that would be extremely bearish.
Right. They got rid of about 40 amendments between the two committees, agriculture and banking. Remember, there was like 50 lines, 50 points in the Clarity Act when Biden was in there. And then where they came up almost 100 amendments, right? It was like 80 something amendments. It was like a 140 something, and they got rid of a bunch of them. I'd say look for another 50 coming right back at you, and it's going to be all against the retail. They'll fight to the tooth and nail to not get anything done. They don't want, because they will not want Trump to get any wins. It'd be ugly.
No doubt.
I've been hanging there for years. November 3rd, 2026, most important voting day. Rock and roll.
Yeah, Binance. Yeah, you know what? Gee, there's so much news dropping, man. This MICA is shaking up the whole thing, bro. And this is not even pertaining to what's going on in America, but you have a lot of entities that are overseas that service Americans. A lot of Americans are about to get cut off on a lot of protocols that are actually, Americans are using. I don't think a lot of us, participants are aware of what's going on. It's crazy. It's very interesting how this is shaking up the market. LMFG, check this out. So Binance CEO reiterates user funds are safe amid MICA transition. Now, this is the CEO of Binance, Richard Tang, has reassured EU users impacted by the MICA transition or the shutout of Binance, essentially. He's trying to soften it, but they literally got shut out. The door has been slammed on Binance when it comes to this situation for European users. There's other options, but Binance, the platform is phenomenal for a lot of EU users. They're about to lose that. But your assets are safe. The CEO is saying the transition when it comes to your assets remains safe and secure. Furthermore, he discloses that they would continue to have access to withdrawals. That's about it. You'll be able to get your money and other options after July 1st deadline. The exchange withdrew its MICA license application in Greece and is pursuing authorization in another EU member state, resulting, I hope they're not going to the UK because this is even worse. We'll get into that. Resulting in service restrictions for users in countries like France, Italy, Poland, Spain. It's a big deal, LMFG. The hammer has dropped when it comes to MICA. A large area of dominance when it comes to this language. Binance is directly notifying affected users of the next steps while directing accounts and the actual questions or FAQ, which I think they got a whole dedicated FAQ section about this, to official support channels to provide clarity during the regulatory shift. So I hate dealing with Binance's support. It's crazy. It's worse than Coinbase's support. I don't know if you guys I know LMFG. God bless people who have to deal with this support situation, because it's going to be a freaking nightmare when it comes to support. My Lord, it's not going to be good. So say Pony Loco says we are cooked. Oh God, yeah. I'm trying. How are we going to make money with high leverage now? Yeah. LMFG has a point. He has a point, brother. Jesus. So currently, I want to get into some of these metrics here. So as we look at Bitcoin dominance, we talked about that. Crazy dominance. It's almost 60%. So altcoins are getting absolutely smashed. There's some, a couple of them we talked about. But this particular situation is getting very, very ugly. And I don't know if we lost the LMFG, but we talked about the crypto ETFs as well. This is a major issue too as well. When you're looking at this, and let me show this. Absolute bloodbath. I think it's to the tune of last month. Let's go ahead and move into July. We'll encapsulate June. Over $300 million. Just with the Bitcoin, just with BlackRock alone. Okay. When it comes to these ETF outflows. It is crazy. So that vehicle is going in the wrong direction. And we're talking about a month-long situation that spans $4 billion. And you couple in the fear that Michael Saylor has put across the market. And a lot of people are discounting that, saying that the Michael Saylor thing, the strategies thing, the dividend redemptions that are coming up, needing that Bitcoin to support that is a fallacy. It's just an actual announcement. MicroStrategies, they're not going to sell Bitcoin. If you believe that, then I got a bridge to sell you, because they're going to have to sell some Bitcoin. That is going to affect the market when it comes to fear. And then you couple that with all this ETF outflow because of that fear, institutional outflow, retail outflow, which is very minimal, but it registers. I'm not going to go ahead and say we're cooked, but we're getting pretty close to hitting bottom. LMFG. So I'm looking at these ETF numbers. Not good. Not good. We're just in the last couple of days, we're looking at $248 million on the Bitcoin side, with 7.6 million on the actual Ethereum ETF side. And we're not even talking about the small block of altcoin ETFs, which are at the floor. I'm not even going to talk about the XRP ETF, the Solana ETF. They're floored. They're already bottomed out. So because they have nothing positive, no language, no direction, no new liquidity. I still think this is an excellent buying opportunity. But when you look at the stock market, which the crypto market, Bitcoin is completely decoupled from tech. Look at the difference. There is no correlation here. Not at all. We're looking at S&P up almost 70 points, Dow Jones almost up. And a lot of analysts are saying these are bearish numbers. They want more. They want a 500 plus increasement in the Dow. They want the NASDAQ up 1,000 points. So I don't think you're getting that. We're halfway there with the NASDAQ, but it's inflated by this fictitious AI bubble. So when you're looking at Bitcoin, it's no longer tethered to tech. Crypto is no longer moving alongside this situation. There's a decoupling effect, divergence here. These numbers don't make sense. LMFG, 500 plus up. They wanted that. They want 500 more points. I don't think they're going to get it. Futures, pretty decent. You've seen the Nikkei completely crash. I don't even understand how the Nikkei is back up in the green. After that crash, you have the yen that is actually tanking as well. You're going to get more rate hikes in Japan as well. No one's talking about that. That's the carry trade is decimated. LMFG. It's decimated. It's on its way out. That's going to affect liquidity as well. No one's talking about that either. But you have the actual futures market, which is fictitiously reporting oil prices in a future tense, when in reality, the actual spot price of WTI is $114 per barrel. This is why your neighborhood gas station, those prices are still up per gallon, because it's not $70 on spot. It's $114. Brent well above 100 as well. So these numbers do not make sense. By the way, the actual 10 and 30-year yield skyrocketing. So LMFG, when it comes to, you can't rely on the stocks and the commodities, the futures boards when it comes to these particular tech stocks, and as you can't rely on this. This is fictitious. This is not a good barometer anymore. And when we get back to the actual stock market here, I mean the crypto market, there's no correlation, because Bitcoin is like, you know what, we're going to actually go to a different direction here, guys. 58 going on $57,000. So we're not tethered anymore. What's going on here, LMFG, if you're still with us, bro?
Yeah, crazy. That's all I can say, man. It's nuts. I don't know what it is. And, you know, with the ETFs, it could just be a lot of retail just getting scared. They got in it, yay, and all of a sudden, oh no, and they're all selling. You know? I think that's what a lot of it is. They're
jumping off the roller coaster.
It's not real vast all at once. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
Like
yeah.
A sailor or BlackRock saying, "Oh, I dump, 100,000 of them or something." You know. So we'll see. Ugly.
Well, according to the Pure multiple, there's a lot of factors that make up this particular indicator. You have minor, activity. 0.58. Okay, let's round it up to 0.59. So we're undervalued. There's a lot of selling. You look at this RSI. Let's go and look at this, because this is very, very a relevant indicator here. I see a polarization. I see people who are betting on the better half, but potentially teetering towards dumping their entire bag. This is the reality for a lot of people, especially if your portfolio is heavy in tech. And I'm not talking meme coins. I'm talking, heavy in the legitimate ecosystems, DeFi protocols, things of that nature. People are like, you know what? I may just unstake and dump, because I'm looking at this RSI, LMFG. We're in the middle, but we're teetering towards an oversold territory, meaning a lot of people are probably going to start dumping, especially if we don't get the Clarity Act in a couple of weeks. Because that's basically what people are waiting on. People are buying, because we were almost overbought a couple of weeks ago, because it did look really, really promising when it comes to, regulation. It was looking pretty bullish, but now we see that we may not even get it this month. And if we don't get it this month, I don't think we're going to get it this year. So the dump could be real. And then you have this major pressure, major outflow when it comes to Bitcoin ETFs. Michael Saylor scaring the crap out of everybody with the announcement of $1.45 billion worth of BTC sales pending, just to make sure those dividends get out. Now, a lot of people are like, there's a lot of cash on hand. I don't think so. Why the hell would they put up that much BTC if they had plenty of cash? LMFG, it doesn't make sense to me. So potentially we could see a major, I'm not even going to call it a correction, but a major dump. And especially if we get all out war in the Middle East, because then you're going to have the oil prices. And I'm not talking about futures. I'm talking about real spot oil prices. They're going to go well over $200. LMFG, this is a recipe for, buying climate. Absolutely. If you are one of those sharks that absolutely knows what to buy, this is going to be a great opportunity for you, because we're going to come out of this. And a lot of solidified projects are going to be looking very, very good going into the third quarter of next year, because we're going to come out of this. But who's going to get leveraged? Who's going to be used? Who's going to be picked out of the litter to facilitate all of this greatness going into the next 5 years? And we're talking RWA activity, tokenized assets, tokenized commodities, real estate. Tokenized, everything is about to be tokenized. Stablecoin activity, yield bearing situations that are going to be basically running through ETH. Let's keep it real. Monad, Polygon, don't forget about that. All these infrastructures that are geared for payments, Stellar, they're going to shine, but it's going to be a very small block of tech that's going to make it out of this, LMFG. We've already talked about this. Concerning investor and I'm talking the entire investor base across Bitcoin, across these altcoins, these proven protocols, I'm seeing a lot of people ready to hit the sell button, LMFG. Right in the middle, waiting on the right opportunity, waiting on the right signal. Are you there? Or are you just waiting on, are you a shark like me? Or are you a shark potentially morphing into a whale going into the next 5 years? Or are you going to buy some of these dips? Because I know I am.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm sitting right now and trying to build a bag. It's really small, but just putting some bucks on every month, just put it on the side, and we'll see what happens. As this thing goes down, and like I said, if that Clarity Act doesn't get passed by the end of the month and they go on recess, that's it. It's
this bombs away. Yeah,
we probably won't see it till early next year. Fingers will be crossed that we get a Christmas present, but I doubt it. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually giddy, because I'm ready to jump into the cookie jars. A couple of infrastructures, a couple of protocols that I know they're going to do well. And, just a number of them really don't need regulation. They just need the tokenization to take off, and they're ready to go. They're going to get massive volume. So perpetuals are still doing great. $411 billion worth of perpetual activity. You want to talk derivatives? Derivatives are doing great. This is why Hyperliquid keeps moving up really close to $100 because they're one of the best platforms for it. Futures, $1.8 billion worth of activity. It is down, but you factor in the open interest market. Crazy activity, LMFG. What's your take on this? Because the gambling is still ongoing. This is a huge market here, and it just keeps growing, bro. We're almost at 2 billion worth of future activities. Perpetuals, well over almost $500 billion, bro, when it comes to perpetuals. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's an awful lot, I don't know.
Manipulation too. This is where the manipulation happens, and it's grand. I mean, it's like massive, bro. Jesus. So let's go ahead and get into this TVL, because I love DeFi. I love decentralized finance. This is the core of crypto. This is what we love. Yield, it is down across the board, 0.61% within the last 24 hours. But I think it's, according to what's going on, I would have thought that the global TVL would be even lower, LMFG. I was thinking 2% down. It's pretty robust. It's just handling the pressure, and people are still very bullish on DeFi. Now, crypto language actually solidifies DeFi. The current language, even in the current new markups, very pro DeFi, LMFG. In fact, decentralized finance is getting a golden path to success. I mean, it's like a 4-lane highway to success. No buffers, no roadblocks. It is going to be full steam ahead. So I think this is where I'm going to be putting a lot of my attention towards a lot of these decentralized finance protocols, especially the ones that are actually within the Ethereum ecosystem, because they're solidified. There's some newcomers too with this override with Solana. Those infrastructures, those DeFi protocols on Solana, they're going to do very well too as well. Avalanche as well, Polygon, which no one talks about, Arbitrum, OP. You have a lot of Stellar, right? These particular decentralized finance coins and tokens are going to explode, bro, because that's where we're going to get passage of this Clarity Act regardless. The passive income is solidified. The compromise is set in stone. The banks lost, which I'm very shocked. So we're going to still be able to enjoy these yield-bearing opportunities. These set protocols that are going to be facilitating this, and these ecosystems and chains that are going to be actually facilitating these, the transition here, they're going to shine, bro, because DeFi gets a clear path. You understand what I'm saying, LMFG? This is why I'm actually targeting a lot of these coins and tokens, because they're going to go bonkers with volume. The fees are going to be that are going to be generated here are going to be phenomenal. It's a good opportunity. Not only with the protocols and the apps, the dApps, because there are coins there too as well, but the infrastructure, the foundation, which is going to be ETH, Solana, Monad, Binance. Let's go ahead and throw them in there. Hyperliquid's L1, Arbitrum, Polygon, AVAX, SUI. I'm still bullish on SUI as well. OP, Optimism, Stellar, Starknet, anything with ZK. What you take, bro? Flare, right? XRPL. There's a DeFi infrastructure there. DeFi. This is where you need to be targeted in the infrastructure, the foundational aspects of DeFi. That's what I'm targeting.
Right. You know me, I've always said it, follow the money. I heard you say Polygon a few times.
Yep.
They're
dark horse, man.
Numbers between 3 and 5. They're in the top 5 of stablecoin traffic right now for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
On a daily, they're rocking and rolling. I hound them every now and then because they got, when they cut it over from Matic, they went to a 2% inflation rate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I keep telling them, drop it to 1%.
Well, they've been under the hood. I think they're quietly getting it ready for the rush. And look at these RWA numbers. The total market cap, it just keeps growing. It's almost 30 billion when it comes to total active market cap and real world asset activity. On-chain market cap is 28 billion, right? The activity, the actual DeFi activity, the active DeFi is at 3 billion. So we're in the billions. Okay, almost a $250 billion worth of activity. Okay, with total assets, issuers essentially almost 200. So these are protocols, and a lot of these asset issuers have coins and tokens that are tethered, that are actually have garnered use case within these protocols. They're needed, is what I'm saying. So this is a big field that's going to be absolutely, going crazy within the next 5 to 10 years, and you're getting a good investment vehicle at a very low price right now, especially if the bottom drops out of Bitcoin. A lot of these coins and said tokens that are attached to these protocols are going to be very cheap, and they're going to get the rite of passage with this language. We're talking about tokenized bonds, precious metals, private credit, public equities, reassurance products, crypto and digital assets, equity indices, private equity and venture RWA platforms, equity ETFs, real estate, which is going to be huge, multi-asset RWAs. That could be a number of things, mixed public markets as well, industrial tokenized assets, LMFG. This is huge. This is a huge market. It's already percolating. This is the future of crypto. Well, this is the future of the tech that's in existence, and that is getting ready for this. I want a piece of that. You always go for the foundation, right? When it comes to investing in stocks as well, the producers, the manufacturers of the said product, the raw material gatherers, that's where the money is. This is what I'm seeing here. Infrastructure. This is what I'm targeting. Am I wrong? Because I'm way past the memes. I'm past NFTs, which I like are, but I want that long-term viability when it comes to my profile. Retirement type. You know what I'm saying, LMFG? Maybe I'm going too long with this, but what's your take as we move on?
No, it's 100%. I've been saying it for the last 6 years. When I started reading about it, I said, "This is your new internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your new banking, your new medical records. I mean, we go on and on. There's going to be so much that's going to come into this. It's off the wall. With these numbers here that we're looking at are minute compared to where it's going to be in 5 and 10 years from now."
Yeah, and that's saying a lot, because we're looking at a total active market cap of RWAs at $25 billion.
I'd say that's chump change compared to where this is going to be in 5, 10. You'll see that at probably in the trillions.
Jesus.
That's what
I mean, absolutely.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Mike, everything is going to be tokenized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then this is why I've always said you're going to need a bunch of these chains, and they have to become interconnected, interoperability, 100%. We should not just. I don't think there'll be any one that'll be able to handle everything. And you wouldn't want to do that anyway, right? You're going to want to spread this out into your business. You have disaster recovery. You have to have. You know what I mean? So, believe me, this is anything here, especially if you're here 20 years from now. Wow, anything you're holding that's still in use and it's still working and still running. Imagine. Rock and roll.
No, absolutely. I'm very, very bullish on the infrastructures that are going to be in position to facilitate this movement, because it's huge. And those particular facilitators are going to have so much volume in those said coins and tokens that are tethered. They're going to move. And that's what we want. That's what we want. That's what you want your portfolio to do, to have activity. You don't want to hold anything that's going backwards, and that's what a lot of people are holding right now, backwards, trajectory in their portfolio. And they're like, I better take my what I have before I have nothing. And that's what I'm seeing in the RSI. People are like, I better take what I have now, because I may need it going into the third and fourth quarter.
And this is so early. This is just such the beginning, You watch, once that Clarity Act, everybody's going to want to tokenize everything because of the savings. It's gonna snowball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regulation.
Yeah, speaking of regulation, let's go ahead and pivot because I want to get into this. This stuff is hitting hard right here, man. This is hitting so freaking hard. FCA, which is the Financial Conduct Authority, finalized its UK crypto rulebook on June 30th. They're getting ready for this July implementation of MICA. The hammer is dropping, setting the stage for the next phase of regulation and turning into the race for firms seeking to maintain full market access when the regime begins in 2027. So this shift is now operational. It is ongoing, and basically it's on, right? The switch has been flipped. Now, as the Financial Conduct Authority says, now the firms that want to carry out new regulated crypto asset activity will need authorization, LMFG. This is in the UK right here. This is pertaining to what's going on with MICA as well. This is what's needed to actually do business in the UK. Okay. Under the Financial Service and Markets Act 2000, or a variation of the permission, if they are already authorized or other regulated businesses are authorized, you won't need authorization. Now, the requirement reaches firms already registered with the FCA under anti-money laundering rules. So there's a lot of customer protection that's involved in not only MICA, but these particular regulations or regulative language factors here in the UK as well. Some say the UK is very tough as well. Overseas, they're not joking, bro, when it comes to customer protection. I totally get it. I'm good with that. Now, existing AML registration does not automatically convert into authorization under the future regime. So there's no grandfathering LMFG when it comes to MICA and when it comes to this UK regulation. You're not going to be grandfathered. You're going to have to you're going to be reassessed, and you got to refile all the paperwork under the new language, under the new rules. You think that's fair, LMFG?
No, not if they're already licensed AML. If they're already licensed AML, they've signed everything. They're there. It's just going to make everybody spend money. Everybody's got to hire. You're probably going to have to get an accountant, an audit. You're going to have to get a verified audit. You watch. It'll be a whole 9 yards.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're going to have to spend money in order to reapply. It's going to be a pain in the ass for everybody.
Yeah. The compliance fees. Oh, my Lord. Yeah.
October 27.
Mm-hmm.
Still. Who knows how much it'll cost to get, I don't know what
it's going to cost. Yeah. Look what they did with the actual cannabis, compliance fees. I think in Texas, it went from 700 to 12,000. That's going to put a lot of guys out of business.
Or are they going to make all the people that own crypto through their DEXs or whatever, sexes, and have to, KYC all the people? What's underneath that bill, what the FCA is coming out with? What is underneath that reapply for AML? What does that mean?
Right.
You got to prove all your customers are KYC'd with you, and what's their social security number?
Yeah. Well, exactly. The KYC thing is big.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's different. It's not, and there cannot be any fraudulent activity when it comes to KYC, especially under the Clarity Act. You can go to jail for that. This is a new way, there's no, because, there's some loopholes around KYC currently. You can fraud that. You could fictitiously KYC. Those days are over. This upcoming language, you go to jail for that after July the 1st and after 2027 hits. You better file the right paperwork. You better KYC. the right way. Because if there's any fishy business there, they're going to find out, and it's jail time, penalty, and you're going to owe some money too as well. So in practice, just to sum this up, it is a new commercial filter, essentially, is what this is. Exchanges, custodians, stablecoin issuers, and other crypto firms or products have to decide whether the UK warrants a deeper authorization process, either compliance work or ongoing supervision for approval. So the commercial question has expanded beyond whether the firm can meet current AML registration standards. There you go, LMFG. So I think AML is going to be contorted. It's going to be modified. The actual fundamental structure of AML is probably going to grow. It's going to look differently out of the other end of the pipe. So here's what it includes now. The questions of whether the firm can persuade the FCA that it's a business model. So as a crypto entity, you have to persuade these particular regulators that you are either a business model, do you control the products, are you in total control of the customer base when it comes to the custodial value of the actual funds, right? The regulated activity that they're going to be over, it's going to be extensive, bro. So there's a lot of factors here. So as a crypto product, as a money transmitter, as a custodial, agent of said funds, you're going to have to follow, man, the compliance is going to be crazy. And there's going to have to be oversight, quarterly audits. I think this is the evolution of crypto. This is the evolution of DeFi. This is the evolution. This is the mass acceptance, mass adoption. This is the sausage making. This is what it looks like. LMFG. It's not as easy as we thought it was going to be. Just crossing that bridge and getting all this liquidity. There's a lot of loopholes here. There's a lot of bridges that have to be crossed. There's actual checks, balance, checks and balances. Lots of regulative activity that I never thought I would see. Lots of customer protection, KYC, AML. It's interesting. So the firms that are already authorized under the FCMA or other activities will need to verify or vary their existence or their existing permissions. Firms registered under the money laundering, terrorist financing, and transfers of funds regulation in 2017 face the same requirements for the new regime as well. So there will be no grandfathering LMFG, not only in the UK, but MICA as well. We saw that with Binance pulling their application because they knew they weren't going to be able to pass. They saved the embarrassment. LMFG, we're going to see a thinning of the crop, brother. A filtering of a lot of crypto entities. They're going to have to go through this filter across the board. And I don't think a lot of them are going to come out the other end. So when it comes to that consolidative effort of technology, of infrastructure, I think our space is going to shrink dramatically. What's your take? And I think it's good.
Yeah, I seen this coming, you know what I mean? I think we all did. Otherwise, it's a wild, wild west, and you've seen all the rug pulls and all that shit. That's pretty much going to get rid of all of that.
Yeah.
It's going to be, the technology is going to be used for DeFi, meaning all things. Like I said, everything on that you look at as a barcode is going to be on blockchain. So the traffic is coming, the technology, the blockchain technology is just tremendous. So this has to be, it's going to be a pain. It's going to be a pain for a lot, for companies, and especially if they may even go to the customers again and say, oh, now we need your driver's license picture. Just like here in the States, you go to Coinbase or Binance, you got to take a picture of your license, all this info you got to put in. So we'll see. I think you're going to wind up seeing a lot of people that are using crypto, and they may be using and buying stuff and not paying taxes. On your gains and stuff. And they're like, and I've been on spaces, they were like, screw them, they don't know. And I'm like, man, be careful. They find you. What I mean? They go back too. And they'll say, this is the estimate of what you did in the last 7 years. And here's your taxes for that. You got to be careful. But
you really do. Yeah.
But I bet there's a lot. And it could be as high as, 50,000 people here in the States that are doing it. And that they don't care, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And just to follow this mantra here, again, this MICA, this regulation push, which is very crazy to me. Very, very crazy because it's getting real. I didn't think MICA was going to be this, potent in the discussion. But here's a headline. Will UK traders lose crypto exchanges abroad or potentially lose access to not only Binance, but others as well after July the 1st? Just a little bit of this. We're not going to get too deep in this. This is how big MICA is. And I've been talking about MICA and how, very important this was, this particular language, the implementation of it. And by the way, I'm so glad that XRPL, RLUSD, the Ripple account, they were on top of this. Coinbase, they were on top of the MICA compliance years ago. They actually took care of business, so they don't have to worry about any of this. In fact, I saw Brian Armstrong gloating about the acceptance and the compliance there, and basically making fun of Binance because of what happened to him. MICA's July the 1st deadline feels as if it were a Europe-wide exchange shutdown, LMFJ. This is what they're treating it. This is what they're saying. A European-wide exchange shutdown, not just Binance, but all exchanges that are doing business in the EU. They're shaking in their boots. Now, for UK traders, the direct rulebook remains the UK's FCA. This is what we're just talking about. That's a regime they're talking about. We just talking about that. Very, very tough as well on exchanges that have, custodial arrangements. We're not talking DeFi, CeFi. Now, the operational risk is that an exchange account may be classified through a different country, legal entity, or product notice. Now, the same exchange brand can serve customers through different legal entities. Here's a loophole. A UK user may therefore see a message written for EU clients, miss one that applies to the EEA link account, or overlook a product change affecting deposits yield. It's a big thing, yield, because a lot of people are going to get closed out of their yield. Who knows when they're going to get their withdrawals? Lots of pending withdrawals now when it comes to Binance. You may be 6 months before you get your payout. Who knows? I digress. Open orders or withdrawals. All that is pending for a lot of people right now. It sucks. The account, contract, and jurisdiction attached to it or said product carry more weight than the logo on the actual application. LMFG, this is a problem for a lot of people. Let's just put it out there. All of a sudden, the door is being shut. And a lot of people, they don't know what's going on, right? They check their exchange accounts maybe, once or twice a week because they got other, shit to deal with. Here's a little bit more. The European Securities and Markets Authority has warned that MICA transitional period ends on July the 1st, and the EU clients should check whether their provider is authorized under MICA or operating under a valid transition. The UK sits outside of the EU or MICA regime and is building their own crypto asset framework through the FCA authority. So LMFG. If I'm a user and I'm checking my account, I'm kind of flabbergasted right now. I'm taken a little bit. I'm hit, especially if I'm generating massive yield. I got a lot of money on that exchange. I'm doing a lot of automated trading. Everything's shut down. What are you thinking as that particular participant? Because we're talking about thousands of users here that have had the door shut. And not only just the exchanges, but we're talking about the product too as well, the said decentralized finance applications as well. They're being shut out of their yield, their payouts, their money essentially being put into basically a queue. What's your take, bro? This is pretty significant.
Right, but my thing is, is there any access to it at all? Or is that it?
Good point, yeah.
There's got to be some. Maybe they have to apply or, do a full KYC thing in order to get to their account. I don't know.
Do they have to re-KYC? That's a good point. Do they have to go through that whole process again just to validate that they are the user?
Right.
This is a mess. It's a big mess for a lot of people over there. And then you have this bifurcated situation where the UK is doing their own thing. I don't know, perhaps to the people who are wrapped up into this huge mess. And I blame the exchanges that were not complete. They had plenty of time to get ready for this. So they let their users down big time. Big time let down. I'm not using this. If I'm wrapped up into these exchanges, when I get my money, I'm not going back. This is very bearish. Very bearish. But when it comes to the, speaking of the X, let's go ahead and get into this too. because there's no issues here. No issue here when it comes to the Ripple. None whatsoever. So LMFG, check this out. And we talked about this stablecoin, the OSUD stablecoin, that conglomerate of activity going on there. Everybody coming together, Visa, MasterCard, Coinbase, you have Ripple. Apparently they're a part of that. Does this have anything to do with that? Ripple bets XRP lending can give XRP a future behind payments as price struggles. So when you have RLUSD, so they really don't need that stablecoin. But there's a potential upgrade that Ripple is saying is going to give XRP a push, a little micro pump, exit liquidity, essentially is what I'm seeing this. But let's get into this. The XRPL upgrade was standardized loan execution while leaving risk checks, legal terms and compliance to the institution. So it's just a back end thing. They're not going to get too hot and heavy in it, but they're going to facilitate it. LMFG is pretty good. We need that volume on the ledger. They're not really diving. They're not going hot and heavy, but they just want to facilitate this. Here's a couple of quick takes on it. We're not going to get deep into it, but here's the thing. Ripple is backing an XRPL lending upgrade that would let institutions borrow against stablecoins and tokenized assets on chain on the ledger. The proposal could broaden XRPLs from payments into institutional credit, giving XRP, the coin, a larger role in on-chain finance. That's expanding that role of XRP. This is what it needs. It's about time. Validators still must approve it, and the lenders keep underwriting and compliance off-chain. So this is just a facilitating measure here, which is good. They don't want to get too involved in the actual compliance and the underwriting. They just want to facilitate the movements and give XRP a little volume, a little usage, a little more expansion. LMFG, I think this is good. It's about damn time. Now, leaving borrowers and liquidity risk unresolved. So they don't want any of the heavy lifting. They just want to move things. They want to facilitate things. I like this for the ledger. Now, Ripple is trying to move the actual ledger deeper into institutional credit, a push that could expand the network's role beyond cross-border payments. This is great. And give XRP a broader claim on the actual next phase of on-chain finance. LMFG, what's your take on this? I think this is great. You couple with what was announced, and we went into that breaking announcement, and Ripple co-signing that announcement with the joint venture with that particular stablecoin, Open Standard. I like this, bro. I really do. What's your take on this? This is good for the XRP.
Yeah, by all means. This is why they're into. They're already with so many banks that have contracts outside the United States, of course, and 100% they become a bank. You know, they're a charter bank right now in the U.S. But they'll get a full banking license once that Clarity Act goes through. I expect that, and I do expect them to go public one. You know, maybe a couple years down the road.
Right. Absolutely.
These guys are slick.
No, I like it.
Garland House, they're slick.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think this is great. XRP needs a push. It needs institutional adoption. I think this is the best way to do it. They're already set up. They have actually upgraded XRPL multiple times this year. So they're getting ready for it. I think you just got to be patient, because it will come. It will come. This institutional push, that is a lot of liquidity. There's a lot of volume that's incoming. And I think it's proper. I think they're doing the right thing. It's just patience, man. You got to have patience. So a couple of things I want to run by before we get to the actual member giveaway here. Let's get into some of this news here. Clarity Act and Stellar. I want to mention that as well. Love the Stellar news. In fact, let's go ahead and start with that. LMFG, this is very interesting news here. Stellar adds tokenized gold. XAUM is going to be the actual ticker for that tokenized gold commodity. 1-to-1 backing. We're talking real accredited bullion. So this particular tokenized asset that you can actually get on Stellar, I think it's available on Lobster as well, which is at that tailored exchange here when it comes to Stellar. If you don't know Lobster, if you do partake, you can actually access this on Coinbase as well. But Stellar is knee deep into this. Now, this is a one-to-one backing, so this is not an empty situation here. LBMA is going to be the accredited bullion. I think that's out of London, if I believe, LMFG. This is a pretty big deal for Stellar when it comes to moving volume onto that particular situation as well. We know the infrastructure is ISO compliant. We know this is perfect landing spot for this particular tokenized asset, tokenized commodity. This is where we're going. Metals, you're going to see copper, you're going to see all palladium, platinum. They're going to be landing on these chains as well as digitized tokenized commodities, one-to-one back. And are you okay with this? Do you think this is where it needs to be? I like the fact that it's backed up with bullion, one-to-one. You can actually redeem, the actual tangible asset too as well under this management. What's your take on this? I think this is pretty big for Stellar.
Yeah, rock and roll. And then it was just a few weeks ago, right? They signed up with somebody. I don't know, it was MasterCard, Visa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I think it bounced up to almost like 30 cents. Now it's back down to that 18 cents level. It was like everything else,
Yeah, it bounced. Where is that? Let me see here.
Yeah. I was telling everybody for
18.
Pay attention to Stellar,
Yeah, especially when you have it backed by these beautiful bars here. The real gold.
Yeah. Smart move on their part.
Smart move. Yeah, I like it. I bought more Stellar when I saw this a couple of weeks ago.
Well, and McCaleb, he's no dummy either, You got to remember, he helped write the code for the ledger. That's the XRP ledger. He helped write that with Schwartz.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two masterminds of it,
Well, the Clarity Act, we talked about this. Let's go ahead and get this out too as well. More uncertainty, just a little follow-up on the Clarity Act. U.S. President Donald Trump scrapped the signing of the actual separate housing bill last Wednesday. Just want to put that out there. And what is it? The Jizz, I think that's what he says. Do you think Sam Altman's WorldCoin will rise in advance of the IPO of OpenAI? That's a very good question. That is a very good question. Will WorldCoin follow that IPO? It's going to be a very extravagant IPO. We've seen what happened with SpaceX. It's still at around $164, but we still have vesting schedules that haven't kicked in yet, so it could crater. LMFG, I'll give you that one, bro. OpenAI IPO, we're definitely going to see that. WorldCoin, I hadn't heard that in a while. Do you think that actually is going to be tethered? Is it going to reap the benefits of that IPO? What do you think on that, brother?
Yeah, by all means. And then I see once I'm reading that Loomis is saying they're still working on the ethics provisions, huh?
Oh, you see, I thought that was already dealt with.
They're supposedly handing it to everybody this the end of this week. But my understanding, all the senators left already. So who's working on it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, no one's going to work on anything with Elizabeth. I don't think they want to work with her on that at all. They want her to go away, unfortunately. WorldCoin is sitting at around 40 cents right now, $1.4 billion market cap. Pretty decent volume too. Number 41. I don't know, that's a good question. I might do some research on that and see how that is tethered and how that can move. I would say that you would see some movement. You may see some rotation out of WorldCoin, actually. It's pocket change priceless prices at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. But you know what? I'll tell you this. There may be some rotation out initially. We've seen that with Tesla before the IPO. I don't know. Maybe that rotation will provide some dips for people to get in. I'm not saying it's going to go below 1.4 billion, but I do predict some rotation out of WorldCoin into that IPO for people who want to get into it. And you have some earlier investors too as well. That's what we're seeing with SpaceX. But it's an interesting question. I'm going to keep a lookout on that. I got to do some investigations on that WorldCoin, what's really going on, how tethered can it really be? How attached is it to this IPO? It's a very good question. LMFG, do you think, I'm thinking there's going to be some rotation out of WorldCoin. What do you think? I think I would.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's see how much,
Well, here's a little bit more on that Clarity Act. U.S. President Donald, here's the actual update. He scrapped the actual signing of the separate housing bill last Wednesday, raising uncertainty over the actual support of the Clarity Act. I think he still supports it, but he wants the SAVE Act. And here it is. Here's the gist of it. Trump says he won't sign another legislation or another bill. It's not anything against the Clarity Act, but he wants the Save America Act. He wants to sign that first. LMFG. Here you go. Senator Cynthia Lummis says lawmakers are still finalizing text on DeFi infrastructure and ethics provisions. You just said that ahead of the panel or the planned July push. So they're ready. They have the cards already stacked. Trump is the actual roadblock. And it's very unfortunate. I never saw that coming. He's the roadblock because he wants to sign the Save America Act first. So earlier yesterday, Senate Republicans, including Banking Committee Chair Tim Scott and Majority Leader John Thune, they said they are pushing to pass the Clarity Act in July. Doesn't matter what they say. It's Donald's pen to push. And if he wants to Save America Act, and then it is what it is, LMFG. What's your take on this, bro? Because, and then there's that recess clock too they're facing when it comes to the Congress. You just talked about that. I don't know.
And I would say if that Clarity Act gets on his desk, even if the SAVE Act isn't there yet, he'll sign it. I think.
You think so?
Yeah. I think because that's going to be a plus for him come November. And believe me, his boys will be screaming. Barron will be having a temper tantrum in the White House. Sign it, Dad.
Well, we find ourselves looking at these two gentlemen right here, CZ and Michael Saylor. Now, CZ has some very interesting remarks about Stretch, which is a product that the strategies conjured up and to basically pull in more money to buy Bitcoin. Someone says a Ponzi. It damn sure looks like a Ponzi, but I digress. But this is what CZ said about Stretch, which is the reason why they're, threatening on selling well over $1.4 billion worth of Bitcoin to actually provide, flow for the dividend payout, which is 11% LMFG. Phenomenal, payout, phenomenal yield on Stretch. But is it sustainable? Well, CZ says Saylor's strategies, STRC or Stretch, is way too complex. This is what CZ is saying. Binance founder Xiaopeng Zhao says he needed multiple attempts to understand strategy Stretch product, calling the product potentially too complex and over-engineered. He also argued Bitcoin may not be the best asset for leverage because of its volatility. I do agree with that. That's why I think Michael Saylor's in a lot of trouble. Now, here's a quote. At some point, he's got to sell some Bitcoin, unquote. This is what CZ is saying, and this is what they're about to do. He's right, LMFG. At some point, it has to happen. And I think it's going to be way before $8,000 Bitcoin, which is not going to get there. Now, his comments come as Stretch remains below the $100 per value after recent pressure. So Michael Saylor's in a lot of trouble. He can wiggle his way, verbally out of it as much as he wants, but strategies is in a lot of trouble. He's in a lot of trouble, LMFG. This is crazy. What you take on what CZ says? He says Stretch is basically a Ponzi. It's too complex. It's over-engineered. And they're going to have to sell Bitcoin to actually pay out these dividends. How much? We already see allocated $1.45 billion. That's going to spread a lot of fear if the hammer drops on that. A lot of people are saying, Michael, you're worried about it. You're worried about nothing. This is just an announcement. They're not going to sell. Yeah, I don't know. What you take, bro?
Yeah, I'm really surprised. CZ is getting a little boisterous these days. So why even bother saying anything like that?
Right.
But by all means, Saylor, everybody, you don't put all your eggs in one basket, man. You know what I'm saying? And they got so much riding on Bitcoin strategy. It's crazy. And I thought, I guess it was last year when he had stepped down, he sold out more than, he's only got 49% now, I thought they would drop kick him.
No, he's still making moves. He doesn't have a majority, but he's still making moves. And then they create these new products, and Stretch is the leading product with giving out 11%. You know,
Right. They created a new title for him. I forget
absolutely.
what it is.
Yeah.
He pretty much is in charge of all the Bitcoin stuff. And I don't know. I don't get it.
Look at these guys, man. He's already, you know, CZ is funny. He's a very funny guy. He's been on X tweeting a lot of funny stuff. All right. And he's coming after Michael, which is interesting. And he's coming after MICA as well. They got kicked out of the EU. So be it. But he's been on a war path. It's interesting. Some of the comments are pretty interesting too. It says, yeah, Crypto Bunny says, yeah, even smart guys can overthink stuff sometimes. He's very right. He's very right. Levi says, bro, even CZ tapped out trying to phrase it. I think everybody knows Michael's in trouble. He's in a lot of trouble. Way into deep. So, you know, I think that's it, man. I wanted to get into this story too. You know what? This will be the last one before we get out of here. This is extremely relevant. Now, LMFG, check this out. Crypto YouTube views have collapsed in 2026 as viewers turn off crypto channels. Now, crypto YouTube subscriber count are masking a weaker retail attention signal. So a lot of the actual metric gatherers are using YouTube views and YouTube crypto channels to gauge retail in the actual retail push, the sentiment. And apparently within the last 30 days, views have dropped. And we're talking, you know, the big, huge YouTube channels like Altcoin. What is the other one? I forgot the one, the big one. You got Corn Bureau. I'm sorry. You have the large ones is what we're talking about. Millions of subscribers, but the views have cratered. Now, this is why this matters. Because views track present demand. This is what they're saying. YouTube is a very good indicator, apparently, of demand. And in the past, it has been. A lot of, you know, channels have launched tokens and coins and protocols. I think YouTube banned Bitcoin's actual YouTube channel. So I don't think Bitcoin has a YouTube channel anymore, which is very interesting that they banned that channel. They shut it down. I think Litecoin still has it, but a lot of the blue chips don't have YouTube channels. Some channels are pulling daily traffic far below what subscribers totals imply. So this is the thing. A lot of these channels have millions of subscribers, but the views are substantially lower, especially within the last 30 days and with the year's intel, when you couple all of these particular metrics and these values. So it doesn't matter how many subscribers you have these days. The views are down considerably, and a lot of these channels are shutting down. Now, the next crypto retail cycle may announce itself through YouTube. This is what they're saying. The YouTube view velocity is going to be the major indicator of the movement of a lot of coins. The old audiences or the old audience base still looks very large across some of the largest channels like Corn Bureau, 2.72 million subscribers, Altcoin Daily. That's the one I was trying to get out of my mouth there. 1.65 million subscribers, Crypto Banter. There's another one. 1.18 million, and you have Benjamin Cohen, which is roughly around 1 million. Their views are down considerably, regardless of the subscriber count. People are turning these channels off. They're not looking at these channels anymore. They're pulling themselves out of crypto. Maybe they lost everything. So this particular media is not, you know, appetizing because they have no more money at MFG. It's kind of a black stain. It reminds them of all the money they've lost. It's kind of unfortunate. Now, the recent recent metrics or analytics, the data show that Corn Bureau drew 1.24 million views over the last 30 days, while Crypto Banner drew 1.6 million. Altcoin Daily and Benjamin Coleman were very strong at 1.7 mil combined, respectively, over the same window. So the last 30 days considerably down for these channels, considering what they've done in the past. Now, the result is a split market where legacy subscribers that are based on the actual larger channels, the actual attention span is much thinner and more uneven than ever before. Subscriber totals preserve old attention, LMFG. So they're saying a lot of these older subscribers aren't tuning in anymore. They're done. Either lost their shit or they're just turned off, man. Daily and monthly view velocity is down tremendously across the board when it comes to crypto media. What's your take on this? Because apparently this is a metric that is being used to gauge retail engagement. But I think it's a pretty decent one. What's your take?
Yeah, I can see that by all means. You know, people losing interest, people that sell out, and so they're not paying attention anymore. You know, and there's so many out there as well. You know, a lot of guys just coming up with stuff, and who knows what they're talking, and or some of them KOLs.
Yeah.
You know, you get a lot of KOLs, and
I think that the days of KOLs are over. Do you think so? I think that's over.
Yeah. And I think that's the drop off. I think that's what you're seeing. You know.
Yeah, that was the majority of the channels. You're right.
Need more Michaels out there, brother.
Hey, you know, I just like talking about tech, you know, and good investments and infrastructure. You know, I don't talk a lot about memes. I like, you know, I love the AI push when it comes to AI trading applications and, you know, AI toolage. You know, by the way, we're dropping that decentralized exchange AI tool video too for the members coming up this week. But it's all about infrastructure with me. That's what it is. And, you know, ecosystem coins and tokens, DeFi. That's what I target, you know, just information and market, you know, news and things of that nature. That's what I like. It's kind of boring for a lot of people. You know, I'm not pushing memes and NFTs, you know, but it is what it is. But that particular article, it tells a lot. It's like, okay, a lot of risk off activity right now, big time, especially with retail. We need retail to come back, and we need some new money too as well to push new liquidity into the market. So with that being said, we're going to get into this member giveaway. We're going to give away some cash here and get out of here with the final thoughts. I got to actually add some more members because I see you guys here. So we're going to add you, Melina and Sarta Meta. We're going to add these two members here and get you guys. And while we do that, NMFG, what's your actual prediction when it comes to Bitcoin within the next, and altcoins as well? Give me your third and fourth quarter predictions here, especially when it comes to ETH and Bitcoin. What's your take, where we're going? And I want your predictions if we don't get the Clarity Act. Or are we bottoming out? You know, are you adjusting your floors post non-Clarity Act passage? I want to hear what you got to say about that, brother.
Yeah, by all means, man. If Clarity Act goes through, I think you're going to see an implosion over within 3 to 6 months. I think you'll see Bitcoin breaking the 100 grand and back into that $120 area. I think it'll go that fast. And maybe 6 months, 8 months, you know, once the Clarity Act goes through. And no matter what, you know, there's going to be a whole bunch of bills coming up going against this and against that, or making things better or worse for us or the banks who they're going to be fighting for a long time. So, and if it doesn't go through, I tell you, when it goes below 50, and I know JT said 45 to 50. I think if it goes below 50, I think 40 is inevitable.
Whoa! So you really?
I think you're going to see some strategy. They might fire Sailor and dump a whole shitload of Bitcoin. BlackRock's going to dump it. All the big boys, and you probably even get some whales. And you get some people that have been holding it, you know, and they got it when they were mining it, and it was at $200 a pop, you know.
Yeah. So
and they may have a couple thousand sitting there, and there's a lot of people with that, you know. And once they're going to just say, hey, screw it. And a lot of them will just put it on the side, because then at 50, you sell it at 50 and put the money on the side. And that's, if it goes down to 35, go buy back in. As long as we'll see how the market goes and where's this thing going to, because there will be a bottom where it's going to boomerang and turn around. It's and it may not be Bitcoin that boomerangs and turns around. It's going to be your XLMs, your Polygons, your Ripples, you know, on and on. All your, I pay attention to Atom, and you know, because I like the Cosmos network, and no, I don't think you count Polkadot out either.
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely, just because they're quiet doesn't mean anything. You're right.
They've been around. They're ISO 222 compliant. They got their cards lined up, and they're waiting for the Clarity Act. So we'll see, brother. So to me, technology, just like you said, I'm not here to look for some meme coin that I'm going to get rich on. I love the technology.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's tremendous.
100%. So the Clarity Act no longer projected to be signed into law this year. Wow. We got to look at this right here. So obviously this is going to be Polymarket. You could take it with a grain of salt, but it's been pretty accurate. This is just in. Clarity Act, no longer projected to be signed into law. This is very bearish. Very bearish. A huge failure when it comes to the crypto president in my book. So Polymarket, 39% chance. This thing is cratered. It was up over 50%. It has just cratered. So somebody knows something. Okay. For this to be registered, this type of drop.
Loomis said that, they're still working out.
It has a bunch of BS.
Ethics in this, right? So if that just came out today or something, or whenever this is, it's today. So that came out, they know. And like I said, all the senators left already. So what the hell are they talking about? They get
the
like
recess clock,
2-week recess here. They come back for 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
And they get like a month and a half recess. It's a joke.
Yeah, it's a wrap. It is essentially a wrap. So, I don't want to close the door on it too much, but this is bearish. This is bearish. Scar said, this is what Scar says. Crypto regulation under the Congress was always a cope. Pump.fund, still printing trenches, and these boomers think a piece of paper saves you. Stay down bad. This is what Scar is. Ouch. That's not, there's a lot of people feeling like Judge Judy's expression here. What the hell? We can't catch a break. So hopefully, this is just, this is just a Polymarket, situation, and hopefully something happens. We talked about this, brother. I don't think we're going to get it. Crypto Clarity Act, no longer signing this year. This is what people are posting. Everybody's kind of bullish about it. Maybe next bull run. Still holding. Well, let's go ahead and get into this giveaway, guys. We'll get into this giveaway and get out of here. My Lord, it just keeps getting worse and worse. I'm gonna have the trigger on buying a lot of dips. I don't know about you guys, but this is what we do. Let's go ahead and spin this Will LMFG, and we're gonna get 3 members. Hope you enjoy the member video. We'll be coming back with you guys with another video. I'm talking about the members. In order to get on this Will, all you have to do is become a member and interact with the content, and I'll pull you out the comment section of the member videos, and we'll put you on. That is your ticket. Just tell me how you like the content, what you think about it. We'll get you on the wheel so you can win some soul. I always pick 3 winners during the live stream, the end of the live stream. And this is what we're about to do. We're going to be following up this week with another member video. I gave you the actual AI toolage for the SEX. We're going to be looking at some AI toolage for the decentralized exchanges this week. So, and there's really, really cool tools for that. AI traders, automated traders, AI based. We're not talking about Telegram bots. We're talking about AI activity. Pretty cool too on the DeFi side. I didn't think I was going to find any LMFG because when it comes to, the toolage on the DeFi side is geared differently because DeFi is different. It's not, centralized. So there's a lot of options, and I'm going to be presenting that to the member group here this week. Really, really cool. Excited to do that. So let's go. Let's see what we got. See who gets the first disbursement. So it looks like it's going to be Scott Aker, 1521. Jay, that was very close. That was a very, very close run. You almost got it, Jay, but we got Scott Aker, 1521. You're going to be the first winner. We need 2 more. Let's see here. I think we are going to be looking at LMFG. It's between Tim and LMFG, and Crypto Priest is coming up on you, brother. I think it's going to be LMFG. Congratulations, brother. LMFG is going to be number 2, and we need 1 more. I think it's going to be Larry. It's really close between Wolford and Larry. I think Wolford is going to win, though. Yep. And so we got Wolford 78. So that was a pretty decent 3 spins there. So we're going to round it up with the results here. Scott Aker, 1521. You are number 1. LMFG, number 2. And Wolford 78, all I need is those soul addresses, and we'll give you your reward very, very quickly today. I'm gonna try to get him out today before it gets too late. So what do you think, brother? Closing remarks, and we'll get out of here, man.
Yeah, rock and roll. Win again, rock and roll, baby.
You got it. So we're going to be doing another giveaway soon. What do you think?
I'll tell you, we'll see. This is very interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Right now, we'll see what happens. I think at the end of this week we should know, because she said she was going to get this paper done, and give it to Fink. Remember, she said he needs to sit down in his big chair and read it. And they may not have it done. They could still be fighting.
Yeah.
And like I said, I seen something from J.P. Morgan blasting out on the media about how bad it is. And so I'll tell you, we'll see how it goes. I'm watching mainstream media. You watch, if you start seeing it on the news, see Diamond out there, Fink.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can see that coming. I don't know. We'll see. And then if that happens, guys, it is what it is. Have a bag on the side, because this is the technology. That's the new generation of the internet. That's where I look at it. Infrastructure,
technology, RWAs, that is the sector to target. And you won't go wrong with that, because it's going to explode regardless. We're going to get there. I think these are great buying opportunities if you're targeting the right situation. So $58,000. I think we're going to hit 57. Doesn't look too good. I see Jay Thacker says, I am top fan on number one position. Absolutely. I am top fan in number one position. Absolutely. So Jay, what are you buying, bro? What are we buying? And by the way, let me end with a couple of reports here. One is not good at all. I'm gonna sneak this in, but we were talking about this earlier, and I want to expand on this when it comes to Open Standard, that particular stablecoin, that joint venture. LMFG, 140 plus partners, including Visa, Stripe, MasterCard, BlackRock, Google, and Coinbase, Ripple. Look at this crazy partnership when it comes to this one stablecoin. This stablecoin is huge. This came out of nowhere. So we're talking Visa, Stripe, MasterCard, American Express. There's Discovery, which is Capital One. So there's Capital One. Fizzer, Odin, Cloudflare, Corpay, Jack Henry, Klarna, Affirm. This is crazy. You're going to be able to use a stablecoin on Affirm as well. Ramp, OnePay, Bree. There's so many here. I'm not going to do all 140, but yeah, eToro here. You're going to be able to use that actual coin Ripple on eToro for investment purposes.
I remember eToro.
Yeah. Ledger, right? Yellow Card, Big Get. Dude, just seeing Ripple on there is really, really cool. Fireblocks, Gemini, MetaMask. This is a huge joint venture for stablecoin. Open Standard is the bridge. So you have multiple facilitators here. The comments are like, where's Algorand? This is a very good question. Where's Algorand? Very interesting. And Tether. We talked about Tether and its basically potential of it being frozen out. Here's a report on that. Tether, $186 billion USDC situation is set to be removed or regulated out of EU crypto platforms as MICA rules take effect on July the 1st. Kraken, Coinbase, Crypto.com, EU have already restricted USDC's access after Tether chose to not seek MICA approval. Tether is done as far as I'm concerned. Circle is about to usurp all that.
I bet Armstrong said, hey, when we do that, let me press enter. Unbelievable.
Yep. There's your answer, bro. Tether's done.
DC traffic is coming.
Yeah, Tether's done. Joe Bill says MICA rules kick in next month. No Tether in the EU, no Binance in Europe. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Big freeze out. Big time freeze out. This is interesting. Man, MICA is hitting.
Did Armstrong screw up not coming out with a base coin?
Hey, you know what? I had a conversation. By the way, I got to move this into a parasite that causes explosive diarrhea has reportedly spread to the United States. Holy crap. So be careful. Somebody's putting the Taco Bell restaurant up on a... I guess don't eat Taco Bell. I don't know. Watch out for the exploding diarrhea parasite. Apparently it's in 20 US states. Everybody's suffering from, so be careful. I had to sneak that in too, by the way. But the MICA thing is crazy, bro. The MICA thing is crazy. Tether is done. We already know that. I don't know. RLUSD, I think that is going to really usurp Tether. I think RLUSD is prime.
And think about it, USD1 too, because they're all over out there. They're in MICA.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Trumps.
All right, man. I guess we better get out of here.
It's going to spread.
No, it is. It is.
And like I said, go watch the traffic of stable coins.
Yeah.
Your top 5, 10 networks. Pay attention to those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know. With that said, I want you guys to have a great day. Pay attention to the news cycle, because it's getting a little crazy. We may not get the crypto legislation. It's looking like the Clarity Act no go. Let's see, Joe, what did you say? RLUSD will be the institutional standard. I'm with you 100%, especially with what's going on with Tether. I think it's an open pathway for RLUSD to just speed shot all the way up into that particular situation, because it is compliant across the board. I think it's got FCA compliance as well. So with that being said, LMFG, I appreciate you being on, brother. You guys watch the news cycle, watch Bitcoin, watch Michael Saylor's pocket too as well. And be mindful of what's going on. Move accordingly and target infrastructure. All right, take it easy. We'll catch you later.